Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi!
Those who are watching all across the globe. Wow. Okay. So we are moving into the roundtable discussion just to maintain order, but not very strictly. I'm not keeping or I will not prevent any of the two other reactors from butting in. That's fine. But I will call on first on Nance. We stopped at the discussion of the reason why I brought the topic there because in Davao I know you are still at that stage of placemaking where you
Mhm,
are trying to identify character, trying to
mhm.
identify city identity, and here comes the declaration of Pritzker indirectly telling you that the agenda should be reality.
Mhm.
And we all know what reality that you have infrastructurally in Davao. So, uh, yeah, you may answer that question and immediately follow with your reactions on the other
Mhm.
conversation. Hans?
Okay. Okay, thank you for that, AJ. I really like that you asked that question first. Kasi in your introduction, in my introduction, you said that I'm the co-founder of the DDS that you like. So let me answer that question by introducing to you Design Davao Society. It actually started with the name Davao Design Society. So it's like a noun, okay? So it's like describing a design. But then later on, me and my core members, my co-founders, realized na what is design? What is Davao design anyway? Correct? And when my co-founder asked me, we were at the stage of like deciding the logo or having this identity. He asked me, being an architect, what is an iconic Davao City architecture? Okay, because we're going with Davao design. That's an adjective. That's like describing something. Davao design. That's like an identity already. And then like without thinking, I said, "There's none. I mean, nada, zero." Because you're right. We're still in the place of placemaking. So eventually, we change it into an active voice, a more active voice, a verb. So now it's called Design Davao. Okay?
All
So
right.
it's Design Davao. The it's a verb. It's an action verb. Okay? Because you're right, AJ. We're still in a very early stage of defining what is Design Davao. What is the Davao identity? Currently, we have, of course, the eagle, the durian, the waling waling, but there's nothing. It's all superficial. And my fellow Davaoenyo would relate to that. And I believe that a lot of Davaoenyos are craving for this change. I don't think that it's just me or just a few of my friends. That's why we're doing this movement, the DDS that you will love.
Yeah, but apparently it's not
Okay.
DDS anymore, no? If you say it's Design Davao, it's
Yeah, it's
D.
Design Davao Society. It's DDS,
It's
but
the
I don't
Design
need to
Davao
explain.
Society. Anyway, connected to that, so connecting it to the Pritzker win of Lacaton and Vasals,
Mm-hmm.
where they are advocating meaning and design, well, it's
Yes.
a very far departure from
Yeah.
the formative character of placemaking.
Okay.
Uh,
Sige.
how does that? What is your insight on that? I'm not saying that you should follow it. It's just that
Yeah, I know.
in the world
Okay.
order, that is what even in the Biennale, in the Venice Biennale, that is what is being declared right now, and the universities of worth their salt in
Okay.
the design programs worth their salt are already embracing this kind of kind of architecture. And even
Mm-hmm.
when we founded the SDA, sorry, the SDAR, the architecture program with Gerry, one of our core principles was the city.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it's that. It's not really the character. It's what is the city all about. And
Yes.
you are in a city, but now there's this very powerful declaration from far, far away that forget about the icons, forget about the expression, the physical and the formative expression.
Okay.
What is your insight on that?
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Sige, let me just say that this is a very interesting set of panel because for one way or another, in all our lifetime, we were educators. Even Buck did a very short teaching gig, right, Buck? So
Yes, we
yeah,
are all
and
teachers pala here, no? Yeah.
exactly. So I'm not teaching anymore, but I spent my first 4 years in the profession being an academician. And a fun fact is our architecture is not my first love, it's teaching. And so I'm gonna like
What?
heads up lang ha to all who are watching. This is gonna be a bit lectury. This reaction will be a bit lectury. So I will touch on first um AJ's format of this talk. And then what I picked from the two interviews, the yay girl and the hey girl, hey boy, hey guy, okay? So first of all, AJ started with asking, is it a yes or is it a no, right? Is it a yay or is it a hey? So I will focus on that first in the Pritzker context. And then later, from what you've all been like blabbing about for the last 60 minutes, there's always been a constant mention of Filipino architecture. Okay, so it's very important. And then now you've mentioned me and my context in Davao City, and your examples, like for example, for Choie, her example has always been her involvement in social architecture, like the Estero projects, correct? Okay, and while Buck, on the other hand, is the instigator of modern style, okay? Challenging the norms of what a house in the Philippine setting would look like, okay? Now, with the insights and the help of my very not well mixed gin tonic, because I got so overwhelmed with pouring.
Nonetheless,
Yeah. So okay, this is gonna sound a bit lectury because I will mention a bit of theory and history. So yeah, let's start with AJ's question. Is it a hey or is it a yay? Okay. So first of all, what is Pritzker all about? Right? So if you go back to the very basic of Pritzker, their core basis of awarding the award or being a laureate is a combination of these three things. Basically, talent, vision, and commitment. And then to elaborate that further, it's a consistent and a significant contribution of the human life or humanity and the built environment, which is, arts and architecture. That's what we're talking about. Now, if we go back to the work of Lacaton and Vasal, it's very interesting because a fun fact, you know that the Pritzker gives, other than of course the financial reward, they give this bronze medal. It's like a coin. The medal looks like a coin. So it has two faces. The first face is please correct this AJ, please check this. It's inspired by the design from Louis Sullivan. But on the other face of the coin, it's from Uncle Vitruvius. I'm gonna call him Uncle because I'm awesome. Okay? And what does it say? What does it say? The other flip of the coin. It's Fermitas, Utilitas, and Venustas. They really like how they used the translation in English. Firmness, commodity, and delight. Okay? So I think in as far as Lacaton and Vassal is concerned, firmness and commodity is no problem. The issue is in the Venustas part, okay? Venustas, as educators, when we like teach theory of architecture for first year students, this is always translated to beauty, correct? Venustas, the goddess of beauty, Venus, right? But I really like how they translated it to the word, to the English word delight. Okay. Now, which brings me to my point, my next point. As far as Vassal and Lacaton is concerned, if you read through their works, if you read through their history, context is everything. Okay? Context. It's always about context. Why? Troy was talking about it's a moving game, It's the target is always moving. It's about the reality of the situation. It's not just about architecture evoking a certain style or a certain form or a certain aesthetic, as Buck would say. And AJ pointed out na paano yan sa Davao? Davao needs a strong example of, image, style, architecture, beauty, and it says a lot because non-architects, especially, and this is not just limited to Davao City or to Filipino context, but my God, in a general human context, people interpret beauty based on what they see. It's never about the function. It's never about the commodity. It's never about the stability of building. It's always about how they see it. Correct? Now, okay. So context. Let us go back to the context. Fun fact: Lacaton and Jean-Philippe Vassal are actually classmates in their university days in architecture. Anne Lacaton moved to Niger, Africa. Like it's a lock, it's a lock country. So it's a common poor country. So imagine being immersed there, and from her own words said that it's the second university for her, the second architecture school for her. So her entire being, not just her philosophy of what architecture is, evolved the entire time she lived in Niger. So take that, and her friend of Jean Philippe constantly visits her there, and this was like in late 70s until they found this very beautiful partnership. Okay, so going back to
Anna, sorry.
context.
I think it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Other
Philippe.
way.
Sorry. Thank you for correcting that. If it is
Jean-Philippe
not
was in Niger, and then
yeah, and then the Lacaton
Anna.
was visiting. Yeah,
Hmm,
thank you.
hmm.
Sorry. Yeah, it was just that I don't know if you noticed this, but Anne was the one always talking in interviews compared to Jean Philippe. So yeah, she's the one who's more expressive. So it's very interesting to note that context. Okay, I remember Buck saying a while ago about like having this uh, experience of a third person. For example, an experience of a tourist walking around Paris and like seeing this architecture from Vassal and from Lacaton, that it's very ano yung term mo, AJ, parang common Makati building lang or even lower pa nga. But context,
Oh,
what was the
not
context
lower.
of that building? Diba? What was the context of that building? Okay? And then I'd like to go back to that issue about the Fermitas, the Utilitas and Venustas thing. Now, if you look at how Anne Lacaton described their architecture compared to a common theory of architecture or how we define architecture in schools. Now, this is me being a teacher. I'm sure all of you, one way or another, quoted Francis D.K. Ching, correct, in your lectures. One of the most ideal definitions of architecture was actually written by Francis D.K. Ching. And it goes like this, okay? It goes like this. Architecture is about like looking at this existing condition and that this existing condition is deemed to be low than satisfactory or non-satisfactory. And these existing conditions are now defined as the problem. Now, the role of an architect or of a designer is to convert this existing condition that is below satisfactory to become satisfactory or even beyond satisfactory. So therefore, according to DK Chin, architecture is not simply the output, but rather the entire design process or the entire design solution. Okay? But here's the thing. Anne Lacaton said in her interview with, I think it's with Art Daily, she said that they never see existing conditions as problems. They take they take inspiration from it and move from there. Correct, CAJ when he introduced it as them planning it from the inside out. And they never they're exactly anti tabula rasa. They like building from the existing situation. So it really bumped me. But then the question is still like when you look at their output, it's still not very as delightful. But as delightful from us, the third people or the third person perspective. But if you go back again to context, to those people that they're catering, let's say the 20% or the 10% of the population, what is the main core of architecture historically speaking? It's about building shelter. It's about building protection. Okay? Now, if you go back to Maslow's hierarchy, from the point of view of a user and a point of view of a designer, it's all about from basic necessity to self-actualization. Now, as a designer, Lacaton and Vasal self-actualization would probably be talking about, improving people's lives, improving spaces, and therefore improving the quality of life.
Nance, may
Are they catering it? Are they catering it to the right people? Or are they delivering it to the right people? Now, if you go back to Pritzker's content or qualification, consistency, significant contribution to humanity, then yeah, it's always a yay. But then again, it's just a question of like, delightful sight. But this is from third person, a person who would be walking down Paris, not the person living in the social housing settings. So there's like wait, I sorry AJ, but I'm from the very first time that I read your invitation, I was like, oh, should I be like saying yes or should I be like saying no? But now, thanks to my gin and to listening to all of your discussion earlier, I realized that there's really no saying yes and there's really no saying know about these things. It's just about really examining the context.
Nance, wait. I'd like to
Yes.
interrupt you there because you've made a very important point. For the last number of seconds, you're actually describing a postmodern description of structuralism,
Mm-hmm.
where it's actually very Russian, that this Russian structuralism where delight, as you have explained it in the Vitruvian triad, where delight is diluted in the genius of strength and function.
But it should not be, I think, AJ. It should stand alone on its own. I mean, the triad of Vitruvius should not be like. I don't believe in the compromise in this scenario because architecture will not be architecture without beauty. And Choie was correct. Even if she started by saying yay to this Pritzker win, she said that correct me if I'm wrong, Choie. He said that architecture shouldn't change and will not change. It's still like 100% Fermitas, 100% Utilitas, 100% Vermitas. It's just if we're going to be technical about a yay or a nay in this scenario, Pritzker said that clearly. Pritzker said that it's all about a combination of consistency, significant contribution to humanity and built environment, regardless the belief, regardless the philosophy. So in that strictly from that, it's a yay,
For
definitely.
you.
But you AJ, you're a bit crazy with my introduction, citing Davao City and my context. It gave me a bit of a like, all right, yeah, right. It's so hard to justify.
It's all about context.
Yeah, exactly. It's so hard to justify that part.
Davao.
Exactly. It's so hard to justify that part. Kasi nga, Davao needs a good example. Now, if they see that the 2021 Lorette, Pritzker Loretti are like, far from aesthetic, because it's the least of their concern. Okay? It's the least of their concern. Now, if I model it, like for example, the co-founder of Design Davao Society, and if like I model an architecture, winning architecture of the AKA Nobel Prize of architecture, a form that has like nothing to do about aesthetic, it will put me in a very difficult position. Diba? As I said earlier, people are very visual. People who do not understand the complexity of design and the complexity of aesthetic will always judge on what they see. That's why they would love.
You are a yay.
Yes, exactly. But you made it complicated for me. Not the Jade. It's you, Javier. Yeah. All I'm saying is okay. Now I'm gonna answer your first question. In the context of Davao City, I think I'm just very ambitious. Bach is like one of my main design mentors and life mentors. So this is kind of biased, but at the same time, sorry, Bach, but Choie and I are Bang's sisters. Yes. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Oh, what I'm saying is, I think there's always a way, AJ, to strike a balance. Now, for me, out of all, historically speaking, Pritzker is like running for more than 40 years. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, among all those Loretis, these two, apart from Seguruban, these are like social architects, social movers. So this is not a bad thing, to add in a mix. It's the same thing with what is happening over the Oscars. People with color, women are starting to win. And it all boils down to political agenda, actually. I mean, yeah, this is me talking very wrong. But at the same time, this is what the world needs now. The world needs more. The world needs more inclusivity. The world needs to hear more of like, marginalized people can be heard, not just in Hollywood, but even in architecture. But
Nazmi,
yeah,
I need to interrupt you there, so I can move to Mike, because you've already triggered my keyword, which is inclusivity and the genius of the tandem of Lacaton and Vasals, which is basically housing, and our imported Madrid graduate.
But for me, AJ, context is everything. Context is everything.
I just proclaim 2 questions and 1 statement? I will not explain. Just 2 questions, 1 statement. Okay? Go. Question number 1. Is Vitruvius obsolete?
I was not trying. I was avoiding myself from asking that.
Number 2.
Wait.
You cannot answer. It's Mike's turn.
It's
Mike's turn. I'm just gonna put a question. So that it will trickle down for conversations in the future generations and decades of YouTube. Okay? Number 1. That was it. No, sorry. My turn. Number 2. Number 2. Is beauty based on visual? There is beauty in obscurity. Question mark. Statement number 3. What was my statement number 3? I forgot. So go ahead, Mike.
No. This is where
Mike. Wait. Just give me 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Okay? So let me summarize that. It was very lectury in my part. Okay? I've never been tipsy for like 2 years. So please forgive me.
Not an excuse.
Number one. Back paminaw. Number 1. Context is everything. Okay, so
Of course.
even the Venustas part of Vitruvius, which is beauty, or from what I like to like translate it into in English word, delight. Context is still in that sense. I mean,
Yes.
I'm not the subject of delight. The users of these not so pretty buildings are the subject. The question that you need to ask that is more relevant is, have the lives of these people improved from
Perfect.
Lacaton and Vasal's design?
I will. That is the perfect question that I would like Mike to answer.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Yes.
Because the French tandem has been positioned by the Pritzker to be a genius in managing housing issues, or at least collective housing issues.